Okay. For everyone, we'll be recording this, so you'll have access to it after. But we just wanted to welcome everyone. Hello, I'm Chitramani Della, a board member for the Consortium for Sustainable Urbanization, and I'm honored to welcome you. Please mute yourself as you enter. I'm honored to welcome you this afternoon, the Green Cities event. It's our 44th or 45th in our long-running series highlighting global thought leaders working towards more sustainable, inclusive cities for all. Today, we'll be joined by Hasibe Akın, and I have the pleasure of introducing her and moderating our conversation. So for those of you who are seeking AI continuing education credits, this session is 1 HSW credit. So please make sure you stay on for at least 45 minutes and you refer to the learning objectives in the invitation. You may self-report using the AI reporting platform. If this is your first time joining a Green Cities event, the Consortium for Sustainable Urbanization, we call CSU, we've been doing these programs for a while. One main thing is we are committed to building bridges between the UN and civil society, including designers, planners, academics, businesses, and policymakers. Our work promotes awareness, collaboration, and knowledge exchange in support of the UN's 17 SDGs, especially the Goal 11 on the sustainable cities, as well as the new urban agenda adopted by 2016 Habitat 3 conference. I also want to acknowledge our incredible partners for making today's event possible. UN Habitat New York office, AIA New York chapter, UN Habitat Professional Forum, the NGO and Committee of the Sustainable Development in New York, Columbia University, Center for Buildings, Infrastructure, Public Space, Creative Exchange Lab, and the Global Urban Development. And we invite you to the CSU website to learn more about our programs, publications, and upcoming events, including the Green Cities and Green Books series. And we have our annual gala coming up on October 22nd at the New York Marriott Marquis. So we look forward to seeing you there if you're interested in meeting us in person. Today's speaker, Hasibe Akın, is an architect, social entrepreneur, and currently a Fulbright visiting researcher at Harvard University. She was recognized as Turkey's first climate expert by Fulbright. She is the founder of Rooftop Farm. I'm going to butcher it, so Hasibe, please tell me how to pronounce it.
Çatı Çiftliği.
Yeah, Kifli. Sorry.
No worries.
A social enterprise that transforms the underused urban spaces into regenerative ecosystems through nature-based solutions. Her projects integrate rainwater harvesting, soil restoration, permaculture, and community engagement into dense and diverse urban environments. Her current PhD research in landscape architecture at Istanbul Technical University is hosted at Harvard's GSD. She has been honored as the 2024 ASLA Game Changer and WXLA Scholar, and is the 2025 and 2026. Oh, sorry, please mute yourself. As the Harvard Mellon Urban Initiative Fellow. Today, she will share her work on productive Karsiyaka, a participatory project in Izmir that demonstrates how municipalities, citizens, designers can co-create climate-aligned urban futures rooted in care, reciprocity, and regeneration. So as we move into the discussion, please use the chat function to submit all of your questions. We'll do our best at the end of this session to include as many as possible. Hasibe, the screen is yours.
Yes, thank you so much for this great introduction. And so now, hello everyone, welcome. And I would like to share my screen, starting. Yes, here. And can you see my screen?
Yes.
Great. Yes, first of all, I would like to thank to the Consortium for Sustainable Urbanization for inviting me here today. I'm very excited and happy to share both my social enterprise and the projects from my journey, from my homeland with you today, and happy to see some the faces I know also from our team. Please feel free to write your question in the chat, or we will certainly have time for Q&A at the end of the presentation, where I would be glad to answer them. Today, as a woman born and raised in Turkey between Europe and Anatolia, I am delighted to share with you the experience of living, producing, and sharing within that geography. Turkey is a beautiful land, and within it, I will present to you the richness of diverse climates, cultures, and languages, and the nature-based solutions that emerge from this richness. My hometown is Izmir, Karsiyaka, located in western Turkey. Izmir was established on the fertile lands of Meandres Plain. Meandres in Latin means waterway. I grew up on lands where waters meandered towards the Aegean Sea and reaching the plains as they met the sea. Karsiyaka, Izmir, is where I was born, where my childhood passed, and where my connection with nature grew among trees, forests, orchards. And unfortunately, like many metropolitan cities in the world, Izmir, it's the third largest metropolis in Turkey, is unfortunately under pressure from urbanization and construction. Today's Izmir, including Karsiyaka, is not as it was in my childhood, with climate change shifting the region from the temperature climate towards arid conditions right now. And we now face wild forest fires, drought, water scarcity, deforestation, and soil erosion. The fact that Karsiyaka is no longer, as I remember, led me as an architect to develop projects that bring nature back into the city, starting from the rooftops. This is my first project in 2012. Came right after I graduated from architecture school, while I was working at one of the Istanbul's most one of the most famous and first shopping malls, called by Ak Merkez. We can say that Ak Merkez is one of the most Turkey's first shopping malls. I worked there just as an architect for its renovation. For its rooftop, I led the design and implementation, a pilot project using the mall's own waste, and led its implementation. Thus began my journey with rooftops right after I graduated from ITU, Istanbul Technical University. As you hear from the kind introduction of Chitra, I would like to share with you my journey before starting why I start and why I focus on the nature-based solution. After receiving my bachelor's in architecture at ITU, I completed my master's in architectural design. Then I expand my field from architecture to landscape architecture in my PhD. During my PhD journey, I also worked as a social entrepreneur in Çatı Çiftliği as a founder. Starting from the rooftops and expanding to facades and ground level interventions, I realized that as architects, landscape designers, and urban planners, we need a roadmap for nature-based solution, especially in metropolitan cities. And this roadmap must be supported by scientific data. In my doctoral research, I began exploring how the principles of ecology, principles of landscape ecology, could be applied to small urban areas. In 2024 and 2025, I came to Harvard University as a Fulbright visiting researcher to discover and advance this doctoral research. Even before arriving here, I was recognized as the ASLA, American Society of Landscape Architects Game Changer, and selected as 2024 candidate for the Women in Landscape Architectural Program, supported by Landscape Architectural Foundation, LAF. And I questions how the principles of landscape ecology could be applied not only to large-scale areas in metropolitan cities, but also the small urban spaces such as rooftops. And in 2024 and 2025, I developed my methods, clarified it, and collaboration in the US, thanks to Aliye and Lens supports from CSU. And this work is still ongoing. And this year, I'm honored to be selected as a doctoral fellow by the Harvard Mellon Urban Initiatives. And as the founder of Çatı Çiftliği, I deeply value not only translating academic knowledge into practice, but also allowing practice to feed back into academic research. And the main idea in the projects I will share today with you, I believe that both academically and in practice, a more conclusive and peaceful world is possible where everyone, regardless of culture, language, and social status, can gather around a delicious table. As a designer, I am committed to serving and nutrition this vision. After the projects I just mentioned, I founded Çatı Çiftliği. Çatı means that rooftop, Çiftliği means that farm. And this is my social enterprise. And I began by bringing nature-based solution into cities through rooftop. From there, I expanded to other underutilized urban spaces, forming an impact-driven design studio. This is our team. Depending on the project, I brought together the teams from different disciplines, institutions, designers, engineers, and social scientists. And here, our project in the USA, also the ecologists and biologists and climate experts to foster interdisciplinary research and applied projects. Through this social enterprise, it's not just non-governmental organization or companies, a social enterprise. We try to respond to challenges such as climate adaptation, urban growth, quality of life, food security, energy transition, and the need for inclusive and diversities. In doing so, we embraced 8 of United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Working as a social entrepreneur for me was a way to make impact sustainable. Unlike NGOs or companies, social entrepreneurship allowed me to generate social, ecological, economic, and cultural benefits while also remaining financially independent and capable of producing more and more projects. I feel very fortunate for this. My journey as a designer began with transforming spaces, but now I must say that we live in a world where ecological awareness is not enough. We must do more. We need to mobilize communities to realize social and climate justice together. This is why involving communities in projects became so essential. And in doing so, I realized we also needed to build infrastructure and capacity to support this inclusion. And therefore, I created the fields of the work expand towards developing space, communities, capacities, and we can call it the projects, academy, and products. Yes, this is why my journey, which began with rooftops, extend to facades, and eventually down to the street scale. One of the most important aspects in all this work has been to understand metropolitan people, their needs, perception, and expectation, and to incorporate them into our projects because there is an important philosophy under it I want to develop into a theory. We often think of biodiversity or nature as something external that we bring into the city, but in fact, humans are not just one of the actors within diversity, just like birds, bees, worms, or fungi, as Jeffrey Raven highlighted. So in my project, I ask, how can we design with the human as an actor within biodiversity rather than outside of it? When designing these urban subspaces, we focus on four main areas: the underutilized building, rooftops, campuses of the companies or schools or universities, and the small scale areas. Alongside these projects, we needed to establish an academic program within Çatı Çiftliği, aiming to transform urban spaces together with metropolitan residents. These academic programs were developed to help people bring regenerative practices into their own lives. Since 2013, I have been teaching, training, and designing in the field of permaculture design. I began my offering introductory courses, permaculture design certificates to young designers in my university and people who wanted to transform their own small spaces. Together with a team of educators, we also develop urban garden programs in schoolyards, campuses across the city. I also integrated the Eco Village Design Education Program developed by Gaia Education and Global Eco Village Network into our academic programs. This training introduces people and institutions around the world to ecological, economic, social, and cultural in these four dimensions, some tools of sustainability, and take great joy in sharing it. I share this not only because we shape urban spaces, but also because they strengthen the capacities of the communities we work with. Within the ecological community building programs, we teach how to create, for example, tiny forests. I will mention to you both theory and practice, as well as developed educational programs for ecological school gardens for teachers and children's. And products, yeah. At Çatı Çiftliği, I believe in the power of the impact that begins with the individuals, extend to communities, and eventually reach to a global scale. This is why I place great importance on providing not only motivation, knowledge, but also infrastructure or tools for individuals to make small transformation in their own daily life. For this reason, I see it as a responsibility for both public institutions and private sectors to support these fields. And I'm really happy to see that at Harvard University right now, some collaboration between the municipalities and the companies and to work together for this aim. For example, household food waste is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emission worldwide. Yet, compared to the other organic waste, it often receives less attention. This is why at Çatı Çiftliği we developed compost kits, reusable planting kits, allow people recycle their own organic waste while also producing their own compost. Now, indoor furniture for children to recycle their organic school waste with the help of worms. These products make regenerative practices in the city enjoyable and fun. As John Kraft, who is the founder of Dragon Dreaming, once said, no joy, no sustainability. I like this phrase. If something is not enjoyable, it's difficult to call it sustainable. Now let's turn to the project. Yes. And when leading the projects, I led my teams to follow 4 steps in each of 4 focus areas. One is, here. One is social research, asking for whom and what are we designing. The second is spatial research in urban contexts. Even if the site is small or localized, we reveal its connection to the larger city. And master plan. These findings always translate into a master plan. And fourth step is pilot projects and implementation. Finally, the master plan evolves into pilot projects that are designed and implemented. Yes, this is an example of this process. And now I would like to share with you a project we carry out through these steps, which began with a master plan in Karsiyaka, my hometown, for Karsiyaka municipality in Izmir. When the municipality first approached us, what they wanted was simply to carry out projects at a few pilot sites. One of them was rooftop, the other one is the ground. Their vision was more along the lines of urban agriculture, rooftop farming, or educational places for children. But we began with social research, then integrated it with a spatial analysis of the city. In doing so, we created a much stronger proposal, one that united the needs of both nature and the metropolitan residents, not for the agenda of mayors or municipality. Within Çatı Çiftliği, when conducting interdisciplinary projects, I especially prioritize building bridges and these connections. Through this project, I had the chance to return to my hometown and contribute to it with the interdisciplinary team I mentioned earlier. We came together in Karsiyaka, a place where life is vibrant along the Aegean source. Social researchers went into the field to measure the community's ecological perception and expectation. At the same time, our master plan team began analyzing the city, identifying where barriers existed, or how special obstacle limited or created opportunities for interaction among the communities. As a result, we identified 4 different barriers. The central question was, how can we transform these barriers by placing production at the center? By prioritizing productive landscapes, how can we build a city where people both engage more deeply in urban life while supporting biodiversity, starting from the shoreline and moving inland, we develop strategies to enhance this integration. And we structure these strategies at 3 scales. Urban scale. Our first project was Karsiyaka urban forest. Neighborhood scale. We identified local bazaars, marketplaces as focal points. And in street scales, we selected small, underutilized lots as strategic sites. At each scale, we answered the question, what will be done with whom? Which stakeholders will be involved? And so many workshops and collaboration with NGOs, universities, companies, public institutions played a critical role to identify it. And as the first pilot project at the urban scale, we started from Karsiyaka urban forest. In this 250 pilot acre area, based on our research, we defined 4 themes under climate adaptation. First one is functional forestry. Second one, rainwater harvesting. Third one, soil restoration with community engagement. We then explored how to implement these themes. It's maybe awkward, but as a designer, when structuring this design process, we started with water. How will rainwater be harvested? The second step was accessibility in the field. How will people reach the forest or will not? The third step was functional forestry, which plants and system should be selected. And buildings came last. Which structure are needed and how will they serve the defined these goals? Through the we identify specific points to activate community participation. We integrated participation not only with residents, urban residents, but also through public art, because Izmir is a city that produces many talented artists, but often fails to retain them, unfortunately. Through public art, we created spaces where nature could communicate directly with us. In the implementation phase, we again began with rainwater harvesting. We trained municipal teams, both theoretically, practically. We showed how to rainwater from both hard and soft surfaces. Examples included swales, rain pits, burns, crescents system that slow, store, and infiltrate rainwater. And the urban forest had to function like a sponge. We first implemented this with municipal teams, then informed and engaged citizens to join this process. With the municipal teams, we collected the municipal park and garden waste to produce compost and enrich the forest soil with organic matter. We introduced different composting methods. Bokashi compost at household scale, and Berkeley compost systems to support larger parks. We trained municipal teams and ensured continuous follow-up. During this process, as you can see in the swales on the left, municipal teams dug trenches and the soil responded immediately with spring rains, the swales filled with water, and showing how simple and practical methods can have a major impact. The key point was to demonstrate effectiveness, raise awareness, build motivation, and involve people in the process. When then began sharing these examples with local residents, imagine a forest by people's own hands where they harvest rainwater and enrich the soil with their own organic waste. And this forest is also functional. People can harvest their fruits, bees can thrive, and medicinal and aromatic plants can provide remedies. This demonstrates a forest value beyond timber alone. The power of a forest co-created by city residents is truly remarkable. Of course, interdisciplinary collaboration brought challenges in this project. When each discipline insisted on its own framework, sometimes the process became difficult. For example, is a forest engineer said, people should not enter the forest. Participatory process became impossible when a designer combined their vision with horticulture experts. Functional landscapes became achievable. Therefore, identifying the right experts and their roles, enabling knowledge exchange, ensuring coordination, and facilitating the process are all critical. From my own experience, I can say these aspects are indispensable for designers with such ambitious goal. After the city scale, we moved to neighborhood scale right now. We place production at the center. We identify anchor points, one of which was bazaars, marketplaces. We develop a strategy to make marketplaces function like a three-legged stool supported by production and social infrastructure. At that time, Turkey's Ministry of Environment and Urban Planning had declared mosques will be focal points of every neighborhood. We said that may be possible. Let's propose placing production at the center of every neighborhood. Social infrastructure could be a school, place of worship, like mosque or another facility. The key was to create a cycle where production feeds markets and the market supports social infrastructure. Using this model, we identify our first pilot project. As the pilot site, we chose the multi-story market building in Karsiyaka, Bahçeli Evler neighborhood. Bahçeli Evler means that the houses with garden. In the past, there are some garden in this neighborhood, and it is a massive structure, right? Like old Russian buildings, like stepping into Alice Wonderland. And the first two floors are used as a market. The roof holds a wedding hall here. Sorry. Here. And below is a cinema. There is a cinema here. And it is one of those public buildings where municipalities place multiple programs. We decided this building with its markets, social spaces, and potential for production was perfect. With its rooftop and facade offering underutilized spaces, it became our first pilot project. And we redesigned this building within the principles of CPUL, continuous productive urban landscape, transforming it from the rooftop to the facade and connecting it to street level green spaces. At the top, you see the state of building. Below the transformed version, the rooftop wedding hall was converted into a farm space for celebrations and summer events. We programmed the building vertically. Ground floor, marketplace, open to all. First floor for NGOs, second floor for social enterprises, and rooftop. Sometimes it's open for private events or economic sustainability of this hub. Our role was propose this reprogramming and fully designed the rooftop. We reprogrammed the building into the Karsiyaka food hub. We ensured access to the rooftop within an elevator and stairs. This is the elevator, and this one is the stairs. There are some stairs here as well. And welcome to the rooftop. Upon exiting the elevator, visitors arrive at a welcoming place on the rooftop. And now the municipality cleaned the facade, and they are constructing the new facade right now. And from there, they follow a discovery route to the farm hall. Along the way, the people can enjoy the city while being immersed in production, even during weddings and events. Some rooftop programs include greenhouses, storing the seeds, seed library, growing seedlings, serving as social and attraction points. For energy production, solar panels, chicken corridor, allowing chickens to roam freely on the roof. At the end of this area, composting area, recycling the organic waste from both the bazaar and the rooftop. And fermentation workshop is the one of the heart of the rooftop, where people learn how to ferment and keep urban grown food. And chicken square, a space where chickens gather and interact with people. greenhouses also included examples of hydroponic farming, which I don't like. And of course, bees are part of the city. We created an apitherapy area for especially children to learn about bees because without bees, there are no fruits or vegetables. We also design habitats for solitary bees. Unlike honeybees, solitary bees don't live in hives. They nest in tree bark and cavities. As urbanization increases, they struggle to find habitats, leading to a decline in global pollination. That is why, as designers, we believe integrating habitats for solitary bees into urban spaces is vital. And last one, we came at the street scale. We developed our strategy through tiny forest sites. These often have small, underutilized spaces ranging from 20 square meter or 200 square meter, sometimes 2,000. Ownership may belong to municipalities, private individuals, or foundations. We defined municipal, not municipal, public lands and developed the first urban scale tiny forest design, strategy, and implementation. Our slogan, dream big, act tiny, and together. And before this scale, we work with mostly corporation structures. We just invite the residents at the end of the project. But in this scale, urban residents were essential at the beginning. Because it's a street scale and tiny forest is a method developed by Akira Miyawaki. The method called by Miyawaki methods. Normally, a forest takes 25 or 30 years to establish, but with this method, it can grow in just 3 or 4 years. Can you imagine it? In 4 years, there is a forest. And when I first learned this one, I was astonished, but it's true. Here you see the initial planting and its growth. I would like to share with you, but not in this presentation. Sorry about it. After only 2 years, with Miyawaki forest, we can achieve growth 30 times faster, use 100 native plant species, absorb up to 30 times more carbon, dramatically increase photosynthesis capacity through dense planting. This method also provides multiple benefits, reducing the urban heat island effect fastly, lowering the carbon footprints, ensuring food provision, strengthening a neighborhood relationship because we made it with communities, enhancing biodiversity, and boosting community participation. As you may recall, we had 4 steps: social research, the master plan, and pilot projects. Here too, we applied these steps. We began with social and spatial research and created a tiny forest design guide. Designed and implemented initial projects, then built this forest with community participation. Here you can see the Tiny Forest Urban Design Guide. This guide shows people how to transform underutilized spaces in their neighborhoods. It answers questions like, how do I choose a site for my tiny forest or my neighbor's tiny forest? How I design it? How I maintain it? How do I turn it into a tiny forest? We also clarify the roles. What should municipalities do? What should people be involved? What can NGOs and universities support? In this way, we created a path for collective impact in urban public spaces, large or small. These slides are like a summary. Yes, shows our steps through the process. We held focus groups and meetings again with NGOs, universities, and experts. Tiny forest is new topic in the world as well, and for Turkey is really new. And it is the first project in urban scale. And after preparing the design guide, we designed the first pilot project to inspire the others here. And we included rainwater harvesting for soil restoration and community participation strategies. The municipality can implement the first tiny forest project. Through project at the city scale, urban forest, neighborhood scale, food hub, and street scale, tiny forest, we measure the impacts of engaging metropolitan residents with biodiversity from the rooftops to the ground. In the urban forest, we measured harvested rainwater, contribution of native plants, and increased green space per capita. In the food hub, we assessed compost produced from market waste, access to local healthy food, support for local producers, and links between peri-urban farms and urban markets. In the tiny forest, we measured growth rates from dense planting and the stronger carbon absorption compared to traditional forests, all using 1%, 100% native vegetation. Meanwhile, Turkey, as you know, experienced one of the world's the most devastating earthquakes in recent years. Cities like Izmir and Istanbul are in earthquake zones. These disasters showed us how fragile our cities are under the pressure of urbanization. It's not only climate change that threatens us. When combined with natural disasters, metropolitan cities can truly become uninhabitable. Sadly, I must also mention that Karsiyaka urban forest, which we created, was completely destroyed in a wildfire last year that burned many of Izmir's forests. The forest we had built with municipal teams and citizens over 3 years has now turned to ash. But I must also say, climate change is no longer a future scenario, it's today's reality. Once wildfires begin stopping them, it's almost impossible. That's why monitoring, measurement, and early prevention are essential. Especially in cities, the urban heat island effect can destroy such projects before or after completion. This is why scientifically grounded, evidence-based applications are vital for systemic change. And yes, thank you very much for listening. The projects that begin with Karsiyaka municipality, I would like to mention, is now being carried forward by Izmir Metropolitan Municipality as an urban laboratory. Now, this area, not everything was lost because we had also selected fire-resistant species, parts of the ecosystem survive. Now, under the leadership of the mayor, the site is being used as a restoration laboratory. I would like to thank Mayor Dr. Cemil Tugay, a mayor of Izmir Metropolitan Municipality right now, who from the beginning has motivated his teams and supported this participatory and challenging process. I wish he could have joined us today, but he was unavailable. Finally, I want to thank all the design, engineering, and social research team who contributed to these projects and to creating this interdisciplinary environment. And I sincerely thank to again to CSU for giving me the opportunity to share this work. I look forward to your question and voices. Thank you so much. Oh, great. There are a lot of questions and sharings.
Yes. Thank you so much, Hasibe. Can you all hear me?
I can hear you. We have 10 minutes, right?
Yes, we only have 10 minutes, so I'm going to try to do my best to get as many questions as we
Okay.
can. But thank you for sharing your inspiring work and vision with us today. Your projects, Izmir, from Karsiyaka Food Hub to the tiny forest, it just reminds us of the power of combining ecological design, community engagement, and roles that cities can play in shaping more resilient and climate conscious futures. I'd also like to thank all of you in the audience. Um, and I have some quite big vision questions if I can get started with that, and then we can go into the chat. So one question is how can ecological urban projects and the tiny forest shape cities into more resilient, self-sufficient systems? Like how do these projects at the different scales, like the street, the neighborhood, district, how can they complement each other? And is there a citywide regenerative network that we can start to think about from your
Yes.
experience?
And tiny forest, great question. The logic of the tiny forest is to transform to small scale urban areas. It's because we can make it even in 20 square meter. Of course, there are some projects in bigger than a tennis court, but it's the as I mentioned before, it's in the baby stage right now in the world. And after Akira, um, uh, his student Sharma is following up this way, and he's also our contributors in the project. And of course, and the street scale, neighborhood scale, urban scale, we can um, grow it to different scales.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, that makes sense to me. One other question is what are most effective methods that were proven to you that would be good for more climate resilient, fire resistant strategies, design strategies that you've learned from your experience?
Mhm. First thing is the relationship water, and if uh, the soil and the plantation is really full of water, it really creates the resistance of the fire. And I have a book, Designing by Fire, the writers from California, and it shows really good logic of this um, um, protection of the fire. And also the second thing is selection of the plants and their maintenance as well.
Great.
I'm
Thank you.
trying to just quickly
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah. And then Jane Katz, you mentioned how were you able to secure the land and the and forest government, like in the government and buildings
Oh,
for the project?
sorry.
Jane asked, how were you able to secure land in the forest? Like, is it via the government or other buildings for the project?
Mhm. Protection is made by municipalities, and it was um, the public spaces and of the municipality, and the protection made by municipality, but we couldn't protect it from the wildfires.
Um, I think they were asking, how were you able to get the land? How were you able to secure
Yes, that's
the
what I'm
project?
asking. Thank you.
Yes.
How are
Thanks,
you able
Jane.
to
Yeah.
secure the land and being able to use the land and develop your work on the land? Was that government property or was it private
Yes,
property?
municipality property.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were able to contract with the government.
Mhm.
That's
Um,
Yes, we are the clients of the municipality.
I see. Okay. Thank
Mhm.
you.
and Ken, you've asked, well, you said it's a timely session, agreed. Thank you. And then you mentioned a fail rooftop garden at HUD. So question that you've asked is how have the Chicago 300 buildings fared to date who have the rooftop gardens like or similar? And how do you merge community solar projects with models like rooftop farming so that savings can benefit from low income residents?
Mhm. Yes, and so Chicago is the one of the most important city of rooftop projects, green rooftop projects, and the citizen participation in energy transition is really important. Is can be governed by um, some local authorities and also the central authorities. And for example, in Turkey, we don't have any legal base for sharing or to uh, prevent the people for solar regeneration energy. And it's really important to transform the rooftops. It's really important point to create some substitutions or fundings or encourage them to make it.
Yeah, the rooftops looked beautiful and very, very, it's energy generating, it's food generating, seed storage. It's quite nice. Another
Mhm.
question that Kent had was green technology versus AI technology. How will China and US come out as geopolitical competition? Um, oh, yeah, I think that's your question, right, Kent?
Green technology versus AI technologies. Sorry.
Yes.
Uh,
Um,
how will China and the US came out in this geopolitical?
yeah.
Um, I don't think it will be either or. Green technology and AI are deeply interconnected. We need AI to optimize renewable systems, to model biodiversity, to plan resilient cities, and we need green tech to ensure that AI itself operates within planetary boundaries. So far, both China and the US, the real competition is not just who leads, but who can integrate the two more responsible and inclusively.
Great. And then Lance, you mentioned how were you able to have Izmir support in a variety of these projects?
Sorry, how?
How were you able to have Izmir's support in a variety of these projects?
Yes, now maybe as you know, this summer Izmir had experienced the wildfire again. It was really about building trust and showing quick, tangible results. we started small pilot projects like rooftop farms or compost programs and invited the municipalities, the other municipalities, local NGOs, and citizens to be part of the process. Once they saw their own role and the visible benefits, support for larger projects like the forest or the food hub came naturally. Izmir's support was possible because the projects were not imposed from the outside. They were cooperated with the local institutions and communities. And now there are a lot of projects with NGOs and universities. For example, me, I'm not there, and as a founder of Çatı Çiftliği, but they are going on. We began by identifying the municipality's own priorities, then connected those with ecological needs and community aspirations through social research. In short, the municipality supported the projects because they were inclusive, interdisciplinary, and grounded in both science and local cultures. But earthquake, wildfires, drought, and some instability in political situation in Turkey right now, and it's really hard to go on to these projects.
Understood. Thank you for that. And I think we're at time. So I'd also like to thank all of you in the audience for joining this session and this program. We hope today's Green City sparked ideas and connections, and you can take it back to your own work and communities. Before we close, just a few reminders. Please visit the CSU website for more information on our ongoing programs, our upcoming Green Cities and Books events. We're also excited to announce our CSU annual gala again. It's taking place October 22nd at the Grand Hyatt in Times Square. This year, the gala will include a silent auction as well to support the CSU's mission. So more information on that if you sign up for our newsletter to stay up to date and future Green Cities talks and other initiatives. On behalf of CSU, thank you again, Hasibe, and thank you for all for spending this hour with us, and see you at our next event.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.